Hello, you amazing people. Welcome back to RX Memes. Today we're jumping into r/malicious compliance. I have a couple really good stories from there for you today. I hope you liked today's video and let's get right into it. We close at 5:30, boss. This happened yesterday. Still kind of grinning about it. So I work for a staffing agency that runs its office from 7:30 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. Apparently, we need to stay open and present in the office all those hours unless on lunch. According to the bosses, our clients' contracts state they need to be able to contact us between those hours, or it's a breach of contract. They all call us personally anyways, so that's a whole other story. Basically, we always leave 10 to 15 minutes early, but make sure we can be contacted. Yesterday, our out-of-touch CEO calls for a random staffing meeting via Skype at 4:30. No regard for our actual day or appointments, just a, "Hey, we gotta meet." I have to mention, this happens all the time, and over half of the time doesn't even remember he set them up and we don't have a meeting. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 weeks before we actually do. We say, like always, that we will be there. Well, what do you know? 4:45 strolls around and no answer, and no meeting. Him and his second in command, his family member, aren't even in the corporate office. Well, it's almost 5 already and we want to leave on time. I have a whole life outside of this office and so do my workers. Now 5:20 rolls around and I decide enough is enough and I start to leave. In my car, waiting purposely to see if they'll call, at 5:25 I get a call from second in command that goes like this. "Hey, boss, where are you? We have a meeting." I'm right outside the office getting ready to leave. "How can you leave? It's 5:25. We don't close until 5:30. You know that I need you to hop on Skype with your team now." With all due respect, I was ready for the time you guys set up. I have other responsibilities in my life. "I don't care. We close at 5:30. Oh, so we close at 5:30 and you want to have a full staff meeting 5 minutes beforehand? "Yes." Okay, I will make sure to respect the office hours and leave at 5:30. "Yes, thank you. I shouldn't have to repeat this, but we close at 5:30, boss." Yes, he says boss like that over and over in a condescending tone. So I jump into the meeting and see the CEO in gym attire. I was already pissed, but his clear lack of consideration for his employees' life-work balance pushed me over. I was only thinking of being maliciously compliant, but now I couldn't help myself. I seized the opportunity. Literally 5:31 rolls by and I stand up and start grabbing my things. "Hey man, what you doing? We just started." "I understand, sir, but manager and I were just talking and made it very clear that I must stay in the office until business hours." He stated very clearly to me that we close at 5:30. I have to respect the office policies and close up. "Manager, is this true?" Manager, super red in the face now. Well, I did remind him the office hours." I cut in before anyone else has a chance to speak. "Yes, and I am sincerely apologetic for preparing to leave at 5:25, so I would like to make sure I follow the rules. We can meet again at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow." "Well, you didn't mention we would need more time." That was the last thing I heard from that meeting. No one called or complained to me, and business is proceeding as usual. I just wanted to make clear I get texts and calls starting 3:30 a.m. until 9 to 10 p.m. every day. I am a salary employee, so I understand working some extra days. I do not stand for inconsiderate managers who can't manage their own time. If you can drive it into the lot, I'll double the trade-in value. Not sure if this is exactly the right place for this story, but I can't think of a better one for it, so here it is. Years ago, when I was young and drove shitty cars, there was a used lot that was doing a push, pull, or drag trade-in event. If you're not familiar with this, it essentially means no matter how shitty your car is, they will take it and give you a decent trade-in value for one of their cars. I call and tell the guy my current truck is in pretty rough shape, like it overheats after a quarter mile and isn't really drivable, and ask if they'll still do a trade-in if I have it towed there. The guy says, "Yeah, we'll do a minimum of 1,000 on anything, even if it is towed. But if I can drive it into the lot, they'll give me 2,500 minimum." Now keep in mind, I had just bought this POS a few weeks prior for $800, so even the $1,000 trade-in is a win for me. But he gave me an idea. My insurance included limited roadside assistance, including free towing for up to 50 miles. So I call the tow truck and have them tow my truck and drop it off a block away from the car dealership, just out of sight from the lot. Once it was dropped, it took a few tries to start, but it fired up and I limped that piece of garbage into the lot and parked it right in the front row. I knew they saw me drive it into the lot. It literally died as it coasted into the parking spot. The dealer at first wanted to back out since the truck wouldn't start again and was going to have to be towed out of that spot, but I reminded him of our conversation and him saying if I can drive it into the lot, he would give me the $2,500 trade-in value. So I got $2,500 worth of trade-in value on a POS $800 truck that was literally undrivable because the dealer apparently forgot tow trucks can drop a car anywhere you want them to. Honestly though, props to the car dealership guy who kept his word, because car dealerships are so shady in general that I would not be surprised at all if he just backed out. He told me to drive it as fast as I could, so I did. This happened about 5 years ago. It was my first week in my first real job, porter at a local car dealership, and I'd pretty much already resigned myself to the fact that my manager was a prick. He was constantly yelling and swearing at me and the other porters over the smallest shit. He liked to have us spend hours reorganizing the used car lot, then yell at us when the car wash line got backed up. Always had us wash his car for free, etc. Anyway, a few days in, he told me he needed me to make a quick run to another dealership about an hour drive away in good traffic to do a used car trade. I drove our car out there and drive the traded car back. I let him know beforehand that I wasn't very experienced driving on the freeway, to which he replied, "Quit whining, you'll figure it out," and wrote me out some directions. About an hour into the drive, I get a call from him asking if I'm there yet, which I wasn't, owing as much to his shitty directions as to my inexperience. I told him I got a little lost, but I should be there soon. He started screaming into the phone. "What the f***? I expected you to be pulling up any minute with a brand new car. What the f*** doing out there?" I just told him I was almost there, and eventually he shut up and let me drive. When I finally got to the dealership, I started asking around for the used car manager. Nobody seemed to know where he was. After a good half hour of searching, I found him myself and asked him about the used car trade with our dealership. Of course, he knows nothing. I had to get on the phone with my manager, which landed me a few more what the fuck. They took about another half hour to get everything figured out. Then it took me another 20 minutes to find the car, get it gassed up, etc. By the time we were done, it was prime traffic time, which meant the drive back was going to take at least 3 hours. I started the car and immediately called my manager back. I told him, "I really don't think we should take this car in this condition. The engine light's on, the transmission's slipping." He wasn't having it and told me to just get the over here as fast as you can. At that point, I was fed up. I hung up and proceeded to drive harder and faster than I would ever drive a car. When the transmission started slipping, I'd floor the gas pedal to make sure the clutch packs were good and burned. Engine overheating? Floor it. Stuck in traffic? Put it in park and just rev the engine. By the time I got back, the engine was knocking and the transmission was slipping so badly, it took about 10 minutes just to park it. It had problems before, but now they were so obvious that he'd never be able to sell the car to some unwitting sap. On top of that, it was well after the end of my shift, so I just dropped the keys on his desk and clocked out, avoiding the shitstorm to come once he got a look at the car himself. I didn't hear much from him for the next few days, but I reckon he learned to listen when I tell him a car's. I also got a bigger than normal check for that week, owing the extra hours spent driving around. Upper management didn't like that, since I was supposed to be part-time only, but they couldn't really do anything about it. Toilets for customer use only? Okay. Disclaimer. Mobile English is first language, but am crap at it and bad formatting. TLDR at bottom. Last weekend, me, my dad, and 2 of my sisters went to a seaside town for the weekend. After leaving the beach, we decided to venture through the town to get some lunch and crap. As we were looking for a cafe, my dad spots an arcade, amusements place, and decides to have a look around. At this point, we had been going for a couple hours, so I needed a piss. I walked up to the entrance of the bathrooms and realized you needed a code, so I went up to the counter and asked for the code. "Sorry, what's the code for the bathroom?" Worker, pointing at a tiny sign. "Sorry, toilets are for customers only." I proceeded to walk up to one of those tipping point style 20-cent machines, put in one I lost, and walked back to the counter. "Sorry, what's the password for the bathroom?" 3636. So yeah, not very exciting, but I felt it fit the bill.